Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Rangers Review morning briefing for Tuesday, the 28th of November. I'm Derek Clark, and I'm joined this morning for the first time in a wee while. He had a well-earned week off. Chris Jack joins me. How are we doing, Chris?
Not too bad, Derek. My week off ended with a bump at Pataudry at the weekend. Unfortunately, I thought I'd come back for a big game, pick up where we left off, and it didn't quite. I didn't quite go to plan. Unfortunately, not a good day for Rangers. But it was a weekend of no ground lost. I think that's the main positive that we can take from it. So onwards and upwards. We'll see what Thursday night brings, and then we can really start getting back into title race and domestic silverware.
Yes, absolutely. Before we talk all things Rangers, folks, just a quick word for our podcast sponsors. You can see that the banner on the top of the screen, if you're watching us on Facebook and YouTube, the MPH Group, and they've got a brilliant winter boiler deal offer on just now. So if you're looking to maybe replace your boiler at this time of year, these are the guys to call. They offer flexible finance options as well. The all-important links are in the description below. Also in the description below, you'll find Joshua's article on there. He's rewatched the game against Aberdeen, and he's addressed a number of issues, a number of talking points, you could say, from said games, such as what went wrong at Aberdeen's opening goal. He also addresses Borna Barisic as well there, goes into great detail about Danilo and a better front three movement as well, and just talks about just all the big talking points from that game, and lots of diagrams. He loves his diagrams and whatnot. So go to check it out, folks. The link is in the description below. Chris has also got a great piece on there as well, looking at the game on Sunday, and Rangers going to venues such as Pataudry, Chris. They will have to go to Tynecastle, and we all know the Celtic Park as well at the end of the year. They need to go to venues like this and pick up maximum points if they're going to be lifting silverware come the end of the season. What did sort of Sunday tell us? Do Rangers have an issue going to these sort of venues?
I think over time they have done. I said that the theme of that piece is everybody says pre-match it's a tough place to go. Historically, it perhaps is because there's also a rivalry between the clubs, a rivalry between the fan bases, and Rangers have dropped points at Pataudry. It is, over Scottish football history, it is a tricky venue. But if you look at the gap in finances, you look at the gap in quality between Rangers and Aberdeen now, it's not that difficult a place to go. It shouldn't be that difficult a place to go. You should be going up there and thinking 3 points back down the road, and yes, you move on. I say Aberdeen. I know Barry Robson tried to put a positive spin on their season and where they are post match on Sunday. The 4 points they've taken from Rangers is keeping them off the bottom of the Premiership right now. Now I think the squad overall is better than that position. They've got some good players. Miovski also took his goal really, really well. He's a player that I like and does a lot of very good work at this Premiership level. That's not to say Aberdeen don't have good players. They're in the pitch. Caelan Roos is an excellent goalkeeper. Not as good as Jack Butland, but is a very good goalkeeper. Mm-hmm. So Aberdeen do have good players on their day. They can be a good side. But they've taken 4 points from Rangers this season, and those 4 points the Rangers would have made such a huge difference in the title race. And as John says, if you can't go away, win games like this, you're not going to get yourself into a position to challenge for the title. Now it is only one game. On another afternoon, Balogun scores one of his 2 headers. On another afternoon, Sam Lammers turns into a player and puts away his header at the end, and it's all fine and well. But you look at that first half almost. I think Tav said afterwards, we didn't win the second balls and didn't get close enough in that first 20 minutes. Well, why? It's feeding into this thing of, you go up to Aberdeen and you have to weather the storm. Well, why do we have to go and weather the storm? Rangers are a better side than Aberdeen, a better manager than Aberdeen. They play better football than Aberdeen. So why do we have to go and weather the storm? Why are you sitting off them for the first 20 minutes? Why are you allowing them to score goals, having had the warning 5 minutes earlier when Sockler was through and Butler made a really good save. Why are you allowing them to have that chance, not learn from it, and then score a goal from a very similar position just 5-10 minutes later? So it doesn't make sense why Rangers still seem to have this mentality of, oh, we have to go there and we have to fight them. Just go there, play your football. You're a better football side. If you go there and you play your game, you beat Aberdeen. Same when you go to Tynecastle, same when you go to Easter Road. The only game that you don't really go into expecting to come away with 3 points should be Celtic at Parkhead. If you go to Parkhead, it's one of these ones, you'll take a point. Also, that depends on the situation in the title race. Most times, Parkhead is a point. It's no ground lost, and it's fine. Everybody else, considering the gap between them, between the Old Firm and the rest, drop points like that prove hugely costly over the course of the season, and because you can't rely on Celtic to do it. Now, they've also had a couple of slip-ups recently. Motherwell was hugely unexpected. Also lost ground at Hibs a couple of weeks ago as well. Over the course of the campaign, you can't expect Celtic to drop points in 7-8 games. It's not going to happen. And if we do, well, they're not going to win the league. So I think I can understand why people still have this view of likes of Pittodrie, likes of Tynecastle, likes Easter Road, but people then say, oh, Kelly's stuff because of the pitch or Livy's stuff because of the pitch. Rangers are a better team than these levels of opposition. They should be going there, playing their style, enforcing their style of play on the game, and ultimately coming away with the 3 points.
Yeah, can't disagree with any of that. And most of the comments, well, pretty much all of the comments, I agree with you, Chris. That's a worry for me in terms of the start to the game. That tells me there's perhaps a mentality issue. I'm sure that Philippe Clement would have been telling the players to go out there and exert their dominance on the game from the off and take it by the scruff of the neck. Took Rangers till the second half to really start playing. I think the second half was an issue of quality. You mentioned there Sam Lammers. We really should be talking about 3 points, a sort of a Scott Arfield-esque comeback, but however, we're not, because he has no clinical agent in front of goal. So second half for me is just a quality issue, but that first half is concerning, Chris. Rangers cannot afford to waste halves of football.
No, because you end up giving Aberdeen not just a foothold in the game, you give them something to hold on to. And the way that they approach the second half, if Aberdeen had been 1-0 down at half time, there's not a chance that they come out and approach the second half in the same manner that they did. They camped in and get deeper and deeper and deeper, and they were a couple of minutes away from seeing it out, and a couple of minutes away from getting the result. And if that had happened, Barry Robson would have been saying it was backs to the wall. We defended really well. He's praising the mentality of his players. And obviously, Rangers get the penalty, get a point. That then changes the mood in both camps afterwards. But if Rangers had come out and started a bit more on the front foot and taken the game to Aberdeen a bit more, and crucially taking their chances, it changes the whole dynamic of the fixture. I think that the Balogun header in the first half was a big one. I think if that goes in, Rangers probably go on and win the game, because it's then difficult to see Aberdeen coming back from that and be able to then get that foothold again. But when you don't start games well, and we've seen it, it's not just this season. It's not a criticism of the manager. It's not going OTT on a group of players, but we have seen it a number of times over recent seasons, right back to Gerrard's time. The type of games that cost you league titles is when you go to these away venues and you don't start well, and you give the opposition something to hold on to. You give them a belief that they can get something from the game. Rangers can't afford to be doing that. That's it. I don't want to go too over the top on it, because it is just the first points the manager has dropped. And I think he was right to, on another day, Rangers probably win the game. So with the chances that they've got, they win the game. But they didn't. And when you don't win the game, all the comments we've seen, that kind of feeling the fans have got is this, we've seen this movie before. And the fans only have that because they have seen this movie before. They know how this can end. That's not to say that it will definitely happen again. That's not to say that Rangers won't go on and challenge for the league or win the league. But it's the kind of afternoon that just puts that doubt in the mind.
Yeah. Tommy Scott with a point here, taking credence with my point about Lammers. Derek, why are you signalling out Lammers? There were many mistakes, chances before he came on. He'd be more upset if he wasn't in a position to score. You're right, Tommy. Balogun should have busted it as well, especially that second half when he rattled the bar. He has to score there for me. Rangers, as I mentioned, just lacking quality and clinical edge in the final third in that second half in particular. But yeah, missed opportunity, it's fair to say. Like you say, Chris, Aberdeen at this moment in time, I think Barry Robson, from what I can decipher, he's not really rotating much. He's playing the same guys that he's signed. We've seen that Souček, I think his name is, started his first game on Sunday. But yeah, he's asking players to go to the well a lot, and that's why they're down there. But they have had a miserable start to the season, apart from taking those points off Rangers, which is really galling as far as we're concerned. But it is what it is, and that's where Rangers are at this moment in time. Denzel comes in with a point here, directed at your good self, Chris. And I think it just, I'm not too sure about if it was sitting back, or I'm not entirely sure what the approach was, but Denzel says, does Chris think we sat back a bit in the first half on Sunday? I'm not too sure what it was really. It was sort of, I don't know if it's at the 12 o'clock kickoff as well. I've never been a fan of these 12 p.m. kickoffs, Chris. It's just, you struck, I mean, the fans, they get up for it, but I remember speaking to Stuart McCall many years ago when he was a Bradford manager, and Bradford had a game at 12 because it was on Sky. And he said he wasn't a fan of it. It just affects preparation and what have you. Not using that as an excuse, but why were Rangers not at it in that first half, do you think?
I don't think it was a case of sitting back from like a tactical point of view. I just think they just didn't get going. So when you go to Pittodrie, you know how Aberdeen are going to start. You know they're going to come out the blocks. You know the game's going to be played at a certain tempo, and they're going to try and play the game in a certain way. You don't allow yourself to get drawn into that. And I say Rangers have better players. If Rangers get on the ball and they move it quicker, and they're sharper, and crucially, they take their chances. If Rangers score the first goal on Sunday, they go on and win the game. So I think if Balogun scores the header that he has, or Lundstrom actually gets in the follow-up, Rangers then seize the momentum a wee bit, and second half, they probably go on and win the game. I just think it's a case of they didn't start with the right approach, didn't start with the right tempo. I don't think it's a case of the manager going out and saying, look, we'll go and try and soak up a bit of Aberdeen for the first 20 minutes, try and keep it tight, and we'll just sit back in and try and catch the ball in the break. I don't think it was a tactical thing. It was just more a case of Aberdeen came out the blocks and started sharper, which when you consider everything the Rangers have got going for them right now, everything that's on the line, it's hard to put your finger on why that would be the case. If they'd started the first half and played in the first half with the same tempo and same intensity that they did in periods of not the entire second half, but periods of the second half, they would have won the game. So it's a disappointing one. It's obviously compounded on the back of what happened on Saturday. As soon as the full-time whistle goes at Parkhead, everybody's then thinking, no, this is a huge chance. You go, you beat Aberdeen, you've still got the game in hand. We're then thinking, well, you go to Parkhead and win, and it changes things very quickly. People perhaps start to get ahead of themselves. As I said pre-match to Josh on the video, without using no cliche, it is very much one game at a time. Rangers just have to tick these games off. They couldn't do it on Sunday, unfortunately. But if it proves to be a one-off in this run, you can forgive them. If it proves to be a pattern that we see during this run, which leads into the Old Firm game, if the same thing happens when they do go to Tynecastle, or in a few weeks when they do go to Easter Road, or some other away games they've got coming up, we go to Fir Park on Christmas Eve, for example, if they fall into that trap and they drop more points, then you say, well, it's a bigger issue again. If it's just a one-off thing, as much as it was a sore one on Sunday, you would almost forgive them to an extent, because overall it has been positive. So I think that there's a lot to be taken out of Sunday, a lot to be learned from Sunday, but we'll only really be able to judge the importance of it in time. And we'll see the reaction on Thursday night against Aris, then also the league game at the weekend. If momentum can be built once again in terms of the Premiership, then I say we can maybe let them off for an off day at Pittodrie. If it becomes a wider thing and it really seeps into the season once again, unfortunately we know how that particular movie ends.
Yeah, we certainly do. Let's hope it is just a bump in the road. Kev Armstrong gets in touch. Morning, Kev. This team have a habit of waiting for someone else to do something. Yes, they certainly do. Question here, who cares? Where was Scott Wright at the weekend? I think he's still... Philip Clement did say, was it prior to the Livingston game, Chris, that he picked up a knock? Can't remember the time he said that, but he's still out injured as far as I'm concerned, isn't he? Is any closer to a return?
I think there's also a couple that are still on the walking wounded list. The manager speaking, I think it's a bit later tomorrow, back at 1:30 or so tomorrow, ahead of the Ares game. So I'm sure Scott Wright's fitness will certainly be a talking point. Same with also Vasquez, need to know how close he is. Ryan Jack was obviously asked about post-match as well. So there's still a few that we're trying to get to the bottom of.
Yeah. The Jers56 says, we missed Jack and Raskin badly on Sunday. No midfield. Just incidentally, on Jack, well, me and Chris will be recording a YouTube members video later on today, just on Jack and his future and a potential decision he has to make between Scotland and Rangers. Of course, picked up a knock whilst on international duty. Doesn't do Rangers any good, that whatsoever. So we'll be touching on that a little later on. A few questions coming in. This one, I've seen this yesterday, Chris. Perhaps we can update viewers who are tuning in. Top G messages in. He says, has McCausland signed a new deal? Not seen the club announce it. Sky, I seen yesterday, saying that McCausland's agreed a new contract at Rangers until 2027. No official announcement yet. I've not checked the Rangers Twitter feed this morning, I've got to say, but that is one that we're just waiting for an official announcement, are we not?
Yes, just waiting on the club deciding when they want to put it out. It's all agreed, it's all in place. So just because it's not been on the club website and we've not seen the pictures of it, don't think there's anything untoward. It's all in place. I think it's a really good bit of business from Rangers. Obviously, McCausland has almost come from nowhere this season. Normally, when you get to his age and you've not made that transition from the Colt team and the B team into the first team squad. By the time you get to 2021, you almost think you've missed the boat, and that's your Rangers career is over. But through circumstances, really, Ross has been given his chance. There's obviously injuries in that area of the pitch. The squad doesn't have a lot of natural pace and width in it anyway, after the work that Michael Beale did over the summer. So really, through circumstances, Ross has got his chance. He's certainly made the most of it. There's also been a lot of other interest, been a bit of talk about clubs down south and abroad being interested in him. So I think it's a good bit of business for Rangers to get him tied down, and hopefully it can be the start of a really encouraging and promising few years for him. He said quite a few weeks between getting his first Rangers start. He's made his European debut. He thought he had his first goal at Livingston. It was obviously dropped off, unfortunately. Yeah. He's then gone into international fold and made his debut there. So it's been a great few weeks for him. Now he's got his contract sorted. He knows exactly what the next few seasons hold for him potentially. He's got a manager who has given him a chance, a manager who backs him. So hopefully he can then make the most of the new opportunity that he's been given, because as much as he has done over these last 6 weeks or so, he's really achieved nothing yet. If this is all Ross McCausland does in his Rangers career, he'll look back when he hangs up his boots and thinks that's not really an awful lot. He's got so much more to do, so much more to achieve, so much more to prove. And hopefully over the next coming months, certainly this season, and then over the next few years, we can see him really fulfil that potential.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to hopefully gets there's a comment that came in saying he should start on Thursday night. Totally agree. I think he deserves to start. Stephen that brought up the point. Surely McCausland has to start Thursday. He will play a part at some point, I'm sure of that. So that's a few other points that are coming in here. First of all, Brian Alvarez gets in touch. Morning from Bovill, Washington. Do you feel we should be scouting other untapped markets like Macedonia and Israel. I'm not too sure about the players over there, but certainly I think Rangers should be tapping into different markets and looking further afield, as well as closer to home. We've discussed this in a number of videos now. I think there's certainly talent in the Scottish Premiership Rangers should be looking at, as well as trying to seek bargains further afield. Chris, certainly that the scouting is a big part. We heard, seen a statement from John Bennett when the annual accounts were released. Player trading is something Rangers need to improve upon. They need to find players' gems out there and flip them and make money.
They do. The chairman made that perfectly clear in his statement in the accounts a couple weeks ago. I'm sure it's a point that will be reinforced at the AGM next Tuesday morning, and it's also something that they've had a lot of discussions with the manager about. He discussed that on his first press conference when he got unveiled 6-7 weeks or so ago now. So Rangers do have a lot of work to do in terms of the transfer market. There's a lot of players who should be allowed to be moved on. That's going to be easier said than done. But I think there's, in an ideal world, we have this other big rebuild. It's not going to happen soon. It's not going to happen all during the January transfer window. If there's a couple of loans in January, I think that might be as good as Rangers can hope for. But over the next 2-3 windows, the squad really has to evolve again. But that also comes at the same time as having faith in the manager. We've seen previous managers, the last two, were given money to spend, but then didn't last long enough, couldn't pick up the results to actually be in the job long enough to kind of fully get the benefit of that work and of their signing. So hopefully the manager's going to be here for a long time, which means he's been successful, and that obviously means bringing a higher quality of player into the squad as well. I see a number of comments coming in on the director of football.
You stole my thunder there, Chris.
As well, just to get in ahead of you this time, Derek. There is no news, unfortunately. Haven't heard anything. The club keeping updates on this very, very close to their chest. I will ask the question, but it's they're not don't want to get into speculation and not want to say that much on it, unfortunately. So getting to the bottom of this one has been somewhat tricky. But if I hear anything, I'll definitely update you all, because I know it's a talking point that we get almost every single show. So I know people are eager for information. No one is eager to have that story than myself, but it's not quite happening yet, unfortunately.
Yeah, there you go, folks. There's an update on the director of football. And also, Bob gets in touch. Chris Derrick is Lovely's fit again. Dave McCallum said, New Year, buddy. He'll be back in contention, back training, really getting ready. He said, I think a few weeks ago now when we spoke to him. So, New Year was when we'll see Zach Lovelace, and imagine with the winter break and what have you, it might be the end of January before he's back in contention. Interesting point as well come in here. Looking ahead to Thursday night, huge game for Rangers. They really need to win. I imagine they will win in front of 𝐼ROCH's Ibrox and book their place in the knockout phase of the Europa League. Rangers certainly owe Aris Limassol one. Keith Cowie with the point. He says, morning lads, bit concerned about the defence for Thursday's game. Do we think Leon King will get a chance this season? Surely another Scottish player we can't afford to lose. Rangers have got an issue on Thursday because Connor Goldson is unavailable for the game. He is suspended. It remains to be seen if John Souttar will come in alongside Ben Davis. Big decision for the manager to make there, Chris. Is Leon King, would you be surprised to see him start the game? He's been on the bench, of course, recently, but starting, he's not featured under Clement yet.
He's not really featured enough over the last 12 months or so now, has he? Someone who we all had really high hopes for. Someone who we thought was going to go in and be a really successful player for Rangers and potentially make the club a bit of money, and it's just not quite happened for him. I like Leon as a player. I think he's still got something to offer, but he really has to be playing football. And if it doesn't happen on Thursday night, it's then hard to see where he gets in. Because obviously Big Balogun has come in. He didn't have the best game at the weekend. Didn't play overly well, but it wasn't alone in that regard. So he seems to have kind of jumped the queue. Obviously, Goldson 9 times out of 10. Obviously, Thursday night apart, he's one of the first names on the team sheet. So it's always who's got a partner, Connor. It's been obviously Ben Davies has come in at times. Balogun's come in and had to come back out again because of the European squad, and it has been really difficult for Leon King to get in there. Unfortunately, he's certainly in the running for Thursday night. I would much rather have him in there than putting a square peg in a round hole and saying to John Lundstrom, "No, can you go and drop back?" You'd imagine Rangers will dominate the game. They're going to have so much of the ball on Thursday night. It should be a very, very different game than the one that was in Cyprus for a few weeks ago. Hopefully a very different outcome as well, because that was certainly not good. But you'd imagine Rangers should be able to really go and dominate the ball, have lots of possession. So you could, in theory, say, well, Lundstrom can drop back in there and it gives us another ball playing one just to start the game. So it wouldn't be completely surprised if that was the case. But I think it's a case of give Leon King the chance. Let's see what he can do. He's played at a higher level than this. He also had that in a lot of games in the Champions League last year. So I think it's a time for Leon to come in, hopefully see what he can do. And like we're seeing with other players, like we're seeing with Ross McCausland further up, like we've seen other areas of the pitch. If you come in and you impress and you take your chance, the manager will stick with you. It's not a case of you only get 90 minutes and that's you bombed out. I don't think even a good performance on Thursday night, I'd be surprised if Leon then keeps his jersey for the weekend. But it might help him, bump him up a peg or two in terms of that back four pecking order. So hopefully he comes in. I'd like to see him come in, get the nod, and I would certainly back him to go and do the job on a night where Rangers should win fairly comfortably.
Yeah, let's hope so. Thank you very much to 𝐁𝐥𝐚𝐤, I think that's how you pronounce it, buddy. He's donated to the channel. That is very kind of you. He says, Rangers analyst posted about Sima on the wing, saying he should play central. What do you think on that? Never had his best of games on Sunday, Chris, out there. Things weren't quite coming off for him. We've discussed about him moving centrally on a number of videos now. I think he can play in there. I have a worry if Danilo gets injured. Rangers are very limp up top. Sima would be an option, I think, as part of a two, perhaps, having Danilo up top. Would you be opposed to that?
I think the Sima question is actually an interesting one now, because now that Matondo is back and he's fit, we know that he's more effective operating off that left-hand side. That's the role that Sima has also been very impressive in over the last few weeks. I don't think his performance levels, Sunday aside, I don't think he was good. Overall, his performance levels haven't really tailed off, but the goals have dried up somewhat. He went through that really impressive purple patch, and was a big player for the team during that run. So I don't think the performance levels have really fallen off a cliff, even though the goals have stopped coming. But do you stick with him in a position where he has been very effective over the last couple of months? Do you stick with him on the left? That then doesn't really solve the question on the right. Do you move Sima to the right and then try and get Matondo back up to speed on the left hand side, or do you maybe move Sima centrally and that then gives you Matondo left and perhaps Ross McCausland on the other side? So it's a good situation for the manager to have. You'd much rather have that headache than not, because over the last few weeks, Rangers haven't had enough pace, enough width, and enough attacking threat in the side, even though the games have been ticked off. So I think it's interesting to see where Sima finds himself in the side over the next few weeks. The more players are back in, also the more options the manager has, the more options he's got to perhaps change things up tactically. But Sima, I think, on form, and for what he's done so far this season, he's still one of the main men in the side. He's still one of the guys you look to get in the team more often than not. But I say, it'll be interesting to see where he actually ends up over the next few weeks and how the manager sees his role going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Finally, Stephen Watt with a nice wee comment here. He says, keep up the good work, lads. Rangers Review, top-class Rangers podcast. Very kind of you to say so, Stephen. And just a reminder, folks, before I forget, we've still got our Black Friday deal on just now. Our best ever offer. You can subscribe to a year's worth of content on the Rangers Review for just £12. It is we're practically giving it away. It really is a sensational deal. Head over to rangersreview.co.uk uk.com/subscribe to sign up. It's dead easy to do so. You'll gain access to a gluttony of Rangers content on there. As I mentioned on there this morning, Joshua's rewatched the game and addressed some of the big talking points from there. I'd urge you to go and check it out. Chris has got his brilliant opinion piece on there as well about Rangers title hopes. We've also got feature articles there, historical pieces from Martin Ramsey, who's a fantastic writer, and Stevie Clifford has his fan blog every week as well when he gives his opinion across. So plenty to keep you entertained. Just £1 a month, which is incredible value. Head over to rangersreview.co.uk/subscribe to sign up. And just a heads up for the YouTube members as well. As I mentioned, me and Chris will be on a little later to discuss Ryan Jack. I'll be speaking to a Cypriot football expert as well tomorrow to give us a bit of a lowdown on how Aris Limassol have been doing since defeating Rangers a good few weeks ago. So that's one to look forward to as well. That'll do us for now on the show. Thanks to everyone for interacting as ever. It is very much appreciated. Thanks to Chris also. If we don't speak to you later, we'll speak to you. I'm off tomorrow, incidentally. So I think I'm hearing Johnny will be back in the hot seat. So you've got that to look forward to. I'll be back on Thursdays. We look ahead to the Aris game. But until then, bye for now.